Hi Neil, it's great to be talking to you, man. How are you doing today?
Oh, great, man. Very good. It's a beautiful day in Nashville.
Yeah, man, I bet. And, you have reasons to be happy. The debut album of Neil Morse and the Resonance will be out in just a few days. What can you reveal to your fans about this album?
Oh, well, the Thief video is being revealed tomorrow, and that's going to be really cool. It's one of my favorites on the new album, and I think the video is one of my favorite videos I've been involved with. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, I think that if you're a prog fan, you're gonna love this album, No Hill for a Climber.
Yeah, man, it's a great album. And, you were just talking about Thief. Thief is just a brilliant song. I will get back to it another part of the interview because I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Oh,
Um, But before we get to that, this is a new project, on which you are experimenting with other musicians and
yeah.
everything. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on how this project came to life and how is it been now has it been different from the other projects that you regularly have?
Yeah, well, in 2023, I was looking out at 2024 and I was like going, well, what am I going to be doing in 2024? I had the Late Bloomer album. Um, I knew I was going to do some solo gigs. I knew I was doing Cruise to the Edge in March, and I had Morsefest London in January. But other than that, I didn't have anything progressive going on, like as far as making an album goes. And so I was discussing with my wife, and she suggested, "Hey, what about making an album with these really talented young people that we know that are local?" And I've always wanted to make an album with local people, so you can get together, you can get back together, you can get together when you're inspired. You know, it's just really convenient. It's really nice to be able to kind of do things that are maybe a little more fresh. Um, and so I was attracted to the idea. But I didn't know if the juices would flow, the anointing would be upon it. I didn't know. So, but I felt a good thing about it when I prayed about it. So we got together in January, did some exploratory sessions, writing sessions, jamming sessions, and recorded them, and they felt good. Um, then I went to Colorado in February for like, I don't know, 10 days or something. And during that time, I had some ideas for the album that I thought were pretty good. And when I came back, I think we got together towards the end of February again in the studio here. And I presented some of those ideas to them, and they really liked them. And we were playing with that stuff. And then by that time, I was already feeling like, oh yeah, the game's afoot. This thing is taking shape. And so we decided to make the album in April and deliver in May, and deliver to be mixed in May, and then deliver the album in June for a November release.
Yeah, and No Hill for a Climber is out or will be out in a couple of days now, and it's just a brilliant album. As I was just telling you, it's one of my favorite albums that you ever put out. I mean, it's just brilliant, I think.
Well, so much.
Uh,
Thank
yeah, man, and it's I bet it was a very different experience to work with this very talented, yet unknown group of musicians. It's certainly different than working with Mike Portnoy or all those big superstars that you usually work with. How did you feel any difference in the studio?
Well, it was a little different. Um, with a guy like Mike Portnoy, he really produces himself. What I mean is, you don't really need to give him a lot of input. Um, he'll keep working on it till he's happy, and usually when he's happy, we're all happy. That's just the way he is. He's very driven, and he works really hard and does great stuff. And Um, I don't know. With this one, I was a little more hands on. I felt like I needed to be a little more, um, have what would you call it? Being a producer with your hands on the wheel a little
Yeah.
bit more. Uh, so yeah, I was really being with each player. We did a lot of the sessions together in the room, but then we did a lot of overdubbing sessions, and I felt like we had the best results when we were together. So most of the stuff that you hear on the album, not all of it, but most of it, we were together when it was recorded, and I think that shows on the record. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And and it also gave you the freedom to experiment with other things, I suppose, At least it sounds like that in the new album. You also added some new instruments that aren't usually in your albums, like flugelhorn and the viola and stuff. Um, were they like the reason behind that more experimentation?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I know that certain things were not, totally out of left field for me that I wasn't expecting at all. Like the hip hop groove in the verses of Thief is one. Chris Riley's soundscapes, the thing that he put in the over the acoustic guitar part in the middle of No Hill before Burn It Down. He put in those two guys, like English pub guys, talking about spirituality or something with a fireplace in the back. That's the way he thinks. Like he's almost like a director of a film. He sees things and only it's like in a sonic way. And so a lot of these guys, they brought a really different kind of creative energy. It was Andre's idea to do the really slow end of No Hill. Ba, 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 ba. I think that comes from his classical music background. He's a music teacher and does a lot of orchestrations and things. And yeah, I think that all in all, there's just a lot of really fresh material here. It's great.
Yeah, it surely is. And focusing more on the title, what are you trying to say with No Hill for a Climber? I mean, is this was this a hill you had to climb, but was it easier? What I'm trying to say.
Well, I read it in a book and I thought it was an interesting thing. I was like, oh, what a cool phrase. I don't think I've ever heard it before. Um, and then I started singing it to myself on an airplane and walking around. And I was singing that whole chorus was like kind of taking shape on that flight. And then I sat back down and started reading the book again. And then the theme after that started to play in my mind. So I got back up and started walking the aisles and singing that. Yeah, I think some of the people around me thought I was pretty crazy, but hey, man, if you're getting something good, you gotta lay it down, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that really attracted me to that line was that I thought, as I was thinking about what it means, I thought it could be used in two different ways, which is really what I did in the lyric of that song. Was no hill for a climber could mean that there's no opportunity for me. I want to soar. I want to climb every mountain, so to speak, but I'm stuck in the valley and there's nowhere to climb. And so you could use it in a sad way, but it could also mean, and I think this is the way it's normally used. It means like it's kind of a yes we can thing. No, well, it's no hill for a climber. It may look like a high mountain, but we can climb it, And so I thought that would be a great thing to use for a spiritual journey, especially because then you can say at the end, essentially, all things are possible with God. There's no hill that you can't climb. There's nothing that we can't accomplish. I heard a preacher say once, what you and God are a majority. In other words, you plus God means, all things are possible for you. So I was very attracted to that line for that reason.
Yeah, I mean it's a great line, I think, and it fits into the song and into the album. Um, Now, in your opinion, on which way does this album separate itself from the other albums that you released under, other band names like the Neal Morse band or Neal Morse, just your solo projects, basically.
Well, I mean, I think it has a lot of really unique elements that a lot of which come from, the guys in the group. Um, uh, yeah, there's, especially, I don't know, a song like Thief, I think is just totally unique. Um, and the different guys' voices, me having a singer, Johnny Basaha came in at the last minute and saved the album with his wonderful high voice. We had written all this music for, I had particularly, I've been hearing a high singer, so we did the end of No Hill, assuming that someone could hit a B natural in their lower voice, right? And that's a pretty hard thing to find, actually. But I was having trouble finding anybody that could do it that was local. And I could have called up, somebody that I know. I know a lot of guys that can hit those notes, but I didn't think that was in keeping with the project. With me and these local guys, I wanted to keep it like that, like with the younger local guys thing. And thank God, yeah, a mutual friend referred me to Johnny right at the last minute. I mean, he came in and sang all his parts in 2 days, and I think we had to deliver the album to Rich to be mixed like a couple days after that. I mean, it was really just in the nick of time. But what an amazing job he did. Yeah, I think he has a wonderful voice.
Yeah, it surely has. And focus a little bit more on your composition process. You already dropped a few bits of how you got to the melodies on No Hill for a Climber. But how did you transform those bits into the grand songs that they are today? And which part of those were uh, contribution of the other members of the band?
Yeah, well, a couple of the songs I wrote on my own, Ever Interceding and All the Rage. But I wrote it with this group in mind, even though we didn't have Johnny yet. I wrote it in D, knowing I could never sing it in D. Um, I don't know. So there was something about the energy and the freshness of this group and what was happening that kind of inspired all of it. Even the stuff that I wrote when they weren't around, because I was thinking of them, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the writing process in the room was, not that different than it is with other projects. Somebody has an idea and you start playing it and you start talking about what would be cool. And maybe one guy is like, hey, what if we tried approaching it this way? And then you try it and you kind of all go yay or nay. Uh, we did quite a bit of that. A lot of No Hill for a Climber was conceived of in the room. I like that opening riff, that da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 da. That was something that Chris Riley brought in just as a guitar riff. But when I hear his original riff that he brought in now, I'm like, oh wow, I can hear that, but it's really different. Like, because we shaped it in the room and it changed. That's just kind of the way it goes. And that's what you want in a collaboration. You want things to change in a really positive way. And we had a lot of that going on with this album.
Yeah, and it really shows. And now focusing more on Thief, as I was saying, it's such a brilliant song. You get through the first 20 minutes of the album, and they sound very good. And but they are your regular type of prog in most ways. And then you get to that second song, "To Thief," and you just completely blown away by what you're doing. I mean, how did that song come into the project? And how do you feel about it?
Oh, I feel like it really sparkles. It really came out really good. I love Rich Mauser's mix of it. I think that I can't say enough about that. Like I asked him to bring out some of those little tiny hi-hat things because you couldn't really hear him. I'm like, can you bring out some of the, there's just some really cool stuff in there that he brought out of it. Rich has a great way of identifying the most important things in a section and taking all the other stuff out. There was a lot of stuff that was taken out. I think I was playing electric piano through the whole beginning, and it all got taken out except till that very last riff. Da, 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 da. But hey, I was like, hey, if it's better, my motto is mute it. If it sounds better, muted. Let's sometimes once everything gets where it should be sonically, the bass is really big and fat, and the drums are kind of popping. There was originally guitar and keyboards through that whole beginning. And I was just like, man, take it out. It sounds cool. Just bass, drums, and vocals sounds great, you know? So, oh, yeah. Well, I was stuck on Thief. I had woken up from an afternoon nap and I just had the idea for the beginning. Just Thief, do. Oh, that's weird and cool. Thief, do. Yeah. And so I wrote the first part, and then I didn't know where to go. I was stuck there a little while, and then I wrote that "everything you touch" part. I thought, oh, that's nice, that's cool, and I thought there was a good flow between those two tempos. But then where do you go? I was really stuck. I didn't know where to go, and I didn't want to lose the song because I really liked it up to there. So I called up Chris Riley, and he came over. And he actually wrote that middle part, that dun 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 dun. I know maybe it sounds like me. I think it kind of sounds like me, but it's
Yeah.
not. Chris wrote that part, and so then we wrote that middle section, and then he left. That was in one evening we wrote that part, and then I was thinking, well, how can we peak this out? Like normally we do some kind of a fast riff and Thief. It could have. I knew I wanted to do something really abrupt, stop, and then go back to the beginning. Um, I just didn't know what to do, and I thought, well, what if we all just freak out? Just everybody just do whatever, just go nuts. Everybody just go nuts, and I it turned into my favorite part. One of my favorite things on the album. We all just like, what? Oh, whoa, what? It's kind of like, and the original way that was tracked was we were going along, and I playing to the MIDI that I had recorded, the keyboards that I had recorded. I was playing bass and Philip was playing drums, and we got up to that point. I don't know if anybody else was here. Maybe Chris was here, but he wasn't playing. And I just told him, well, we're just going to turn everything off and you and me just like freak out. And then I want to stop all at the same time. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, okay. And we did this one take where we just really felt like, oh, that you couldn't, and you can't recreate that. You can't. That the bass that's there, if you notice on the record, the bass sounds totally different than the bass before it, because it's the original bass that I recorded in the room, which was different than the bass that I recorded for the rest of the song. And there was no way to match the sound, but there was no way to like recreate that. It was too random and weird. And then Andre overdubbed all that at his house. all the guitar stuff, and then I did the organ thing. I put all my, just craziness. Anyway, I just couldn't be more thrilled with it. And then I wanted it to be. I was thinking of King Crimson a little bit, Adrian Belew.
Yeah.
I remember seeing them on TV doing maybe Thela Hunjinji or something a long time ago in the 80s. I remember seeing Crimson in that era and doing something like that, like really intense thing that just stopped. And then they went into some other thing. And so anyway, yeah. And then when the horns come in at the end and the ending and the whole thing, I mean, I'm just really happy with it.
Yeah, man, it's a brilliant song, and it's really great to hear you talking about it so passionately. I could be here for hours listening to you talk about how you wrote the songs. Um,
Thanks,
Now,
man.
moving on a little bit, some of your most recent albums have been released through Frontier of Music. Yeah, this one is through Inside Out. Why did you decide to go back to Inside Out Music?
Well, Inside Out generally puts out my frontline progressive
Mhm.
albums that aren't like uh biblical Bible like concept albums. Um so yeah, I don't know. I asked I had a record deal with a solo deal with Inside Out already, and it was grandfathered in, so to speak. Like they have when you sign these deals, they'll have like usually options.
Mhm.
So there was an option for another Neal Morse progressive rock album. Um, and it seemed like it made sense because um, as the music business is dwindling, so are the advances. Like I'm getting less and less because they're selling fewer and fewer records. I mean, it's just the way it is. Um, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that was part of the reason why I wanted to take that deal. It's kind of like I was grandfathered into what I would have got like 8 years ago. So it was a pretty good deal, and also I really like the people at Inside Out. We've always supported each other, and we love working together, and I think they're a great label. They're a great place to go for progressive rock.
Yeah, I mean, they are the house for progressive rock and also now for progressive metal, with Dream Theater and everything. They are the right label for the genre, I think.
Yeah.
Um, this is the first album with this new project. You have a very talented group of musicians. Can we expect to have a few shows, maybe a tour with this project? Somewhere near in the future.
It's possible. We don't have any plans at the moment. I've got my hands full. I'm finishing my parts on an album I made with Chester Thompson that'll be out next spring, and I've got three Morsefests that I'm just totally buried over. Like we're doing both the Joseph albums, Jesus Christ the Exorcist, and a debut set of the trio. So it's just it's pretty darn massive, and so maybe in the coming year we'll be talking about that.
Yeah, man, it would be great also to have you here in Portugal, not only with this project, with any of your projects. I mean, you are always a very good showmaker, and I would love to get you here, talk to you personally, also see some of your music live. That would be great.
That would be great. It would be.
Yeah, now going back to No Hill for a Climber, for composition wise, like the album, it kind of reminded me of Sola Scriptura, because 5 songs, more than over 50 minutes. Do you feel like there's any connection, maybe composition wise, sounding wise as well?
I hadn't heard that. Some of the things that I hear on the album are there's some moments of stuff that I wrote that is very close to Spock's beard.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
There's some. there's some moments I think in No Hill in the actual piece that are very yes. Uh, you know the I definitely hear an influence of "And You and I" in the quiet bits and the love is all, and then into the Mellotron theme and stuff. But I love it. I mean, I think those moments came out so good. Yes, they sound a bit like Yes, but I think they're just what they should be. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no shame in sounding like Yes or something like, anything that sounds like Yes is gonna be good, I think. You can't mess that up.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
Thank
Neil,
you.
I think that's it, man. Thank you so
All right.
much. Would you like to send any message to your Portuguese fans?
Oh, well, the thing that I'm talking about is Waterfall version 2 got launched this week.
Yeah.
So my streaming app, Waterfall, and how you get there, if you want to put the link in your thing, it's waterfallstreaming.com, and people can get this app, and it has all my prog stuff, and all my singer songwriter stuff, all just and other people's great music too. So check it out.